Hello, friends, and namaste. Welcome to Mahabharata Myths. This is episode 7 of the series where we take a hard look at myths from the Mahabharata and present real facts based on authentic sources. So, as always, with me, I am Deepak, an author and Mahabharata enthusiast, and with me is my co host and fellow author Pranshu Saxena. We are also joined, uh, like before, by S. Vijay Krishnan from Bharat Narratives, who is doing a great job popularizing the Ramayana and Vishnu Sahasranama on social media through graphical illustrations. So the three of us are going to discuss a myth related to the Mahabharata. So we have covered a number of myths all these days. So in case you have missed out on the previous episodes, I would request you to please subscribe to the channel so you can catch the previous episodes and go through the previous myths. And also you can know about forthcoming episodes and also forthcoming shows, because this series may come to an end, but after that we will definitely continue with something else. So without wasting much time, let's get started off. So we are at myth number 15. So as we discussed before, we are looking at 18 myths because 18 is a significant number in the Mahabharata. 18 parvas, 18 days, and so on. So now this is a very gory myth. It says that Bhima drank Dushasana's blood and tied Draupadi's hair with the blood. So this is what you would have also seen on TV on various shows. So the myth is that Bhima drank Dushasana's blood and he used the blood to comb Draupadi's hair because she had kept her hair unkempt, vowing that she would wear it properly again only after Dushasana is killed. In fact, there is even a myth that he pulled out Dushasana's intestines and used it like a hairband to tie her hair. Now, is this true? Is this a myth? If it is a myth, what are the facts? So I hand you over to Pranshu, who will take you further.
So yeah, there are actually many aspects of it. Now, basically, one thing is very clear, and this is not a myth. Is Bhim is basically described as the best husband basically any woman can have. He can cook. He brings her flowers, and here he even does the hairdressing. So basically, you do not need. I mean, that's they are describing the ideal husband here. Of course, in the context with Bhim saying, the Bhim word itself means terrible. The word Bhim itself means terrible. His name is actually Vrakodar. Various aspects from why. One major aspect and something which basically even the serials do not try to clearly correct is Bhim was actually slender of the Pandav brothers. Because he was slender, his stomach used to hang out a little bit in front of him. So he was like a wolf. That's why he's called wolf belly, the Vrakodar. Of course, the other part of it is that he had that fire inside him, vraka, in his udar, the stomach. So so again, various. So his basically, and Vrakodar is the name. Basically, he's referred to quite often in the epic itself. Konte, Parth, and even Jayant was one of the other names. Basically, he goes by in the epic itself. Now, in context of this Dushasan, now you have to see the battlefield at that day. Now you are going on to the 17th day. Most of the Kaurav army, a lot of Kaurav army is dead. There's still they are still a significant force. They are not that much. Pandav army has suffered a lot of losses. They lost around 2 Akshanis to Bhisham. They lost 2 plus to Drona, and then at the dead when when Drona had fallen, Ashwathama unleashed a series of divine weapons, including the Agneya Astra, which actually killed a lot of Pandav army. So you see the battlefield or description on the 17th day. Now, in the 17th-day description, so there are basically the three main sources: Dakshinatya and the Northern edition, including KMG, the English translation of it, and of course the critical edition. And it is a very confusing description. There's a lot of information what is happening on the 17th day, and if you look at the critical edition, the size of the Dakshinatya Karnaparv is around 8,000 plus shlokas, 8,900 even. And the critical edition actually trims it down to 3,900. No other no other actually, Parv gets so much because the description of the war on the 17th morning is very, very chaotic, like the 14 day. In 14 day, obviously, we are following three different heroes as they're going into the battle. Here, basically, Sanjay is describing a force which is, your major soldiers are actually less. Even when Kern is fighting, now we are actually given the names of the second level captains, not even colonels, right? You're at captains. Kern is finding in the Pandava army, so many has as dead. In the morning, when Kern's chariot goes out, it slips in the because so much death has been around and no cleaning has been done. So his chariot slips into the mud, with mud soaked with blood and everything from the so many days. It's become like a quicksand, and the bones fall across. As the army heads out, the Kaurav army has lost so much that just coming out of the camp, the bones of their previous battles are falling among them. As the poetic description is bones falling out of the sky. So here at this point, Kern launches a huge attack on what is remaining part of the Pandava army, and in between he basically hurts Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira is no longer on the battlefield, so Arjun goes and checks on him. Now, at this point in time, we see the difference where Bhim tries to take the initiative back. He basically kills, and it is described, more than 200,000 soldiers. Basically, he kills an Akshani of the Kaurav army at this point in time, while Arjun is away. So basically, and then Karna is killing a lot of soldiers and everything. He's using Bhargavastra and other divine weapons. And Arjun and Yudhishthira both are actually not in battlefield. So Bhim is basically in command, and he basically takes the initiative away. And he kills a whole Akshani, and he's holding ground. And then Arjun comes back, and Bhim is emboldened. And at that point in time, he goes and he confronts Dushasan. He's already confronted 19 sons of 19 different sons of Dhritarashtra already. He'd killed some of them already. Now at this point in time, he goes to Dushasan, and it's actually within couple of shlokas it is there. He takes out his sword. He basically breaks the armor, the other stuff of Dushasan, leaps, takes the sword, cuts him, and he says to him, "I'm going to drink your blood," because he has taken that oath. And he basically then is seen to drink his blood, and then there's seen to drink his blood, and the whole army is terrified. He basically seizes the initiative away. This is a time where Pandava army is not so huge left. I mean, here you're and they just lost quite a bit of. I mean, the Dhishduman's son has just been killed. The Yudhishthira's two, you have Yudhamanyu and Utmaja, Arjun's gate, wheeled protectors. And now you see the level of soldiers which they have lost already, right? Pandava army. The Yudhamanyu and Utmaja are actually are generals. They are leading their own smaller forces there, because there's so many. They have lost so many warriors, so they have taken the initiative. And so Bhim takes this point in this time. What is left of the Kaurav army? Most of the what is left is Karn is the main character. You have Kripacharya, Ashwathama, and you have Kripacharya, Ashwathama, and you have Shakuni. The 4 or 5 characters left, and Dushasan, right? So basically, he targets one of them. Kripacharya, Ashwathama are unkillable, and here we see a bunch of it. Yudhamanyu gets defeated by Kripacharya. He comes back, he defeats Kripacharya. Ashwathama protects Kripacharya. So all these battles are happening on the side, and that's where Bhim comes in, and he basically decides, okay, this is the right time to put the sort of terror in the Kaurav ranks. And he basically seemed to drink his blood, and seeing him, they are terrified. And of course, the remaining, some of the brothers and they are like around 23 brothers left at this point in time. I mean, so again, the counts, Dakshinati, we have 192 different Kaurav brothers getting killed. So it's not only Kauravs, it's probably here on this day, actually, Chitrasen suddenly comes alive. And he fights several times. So most likely it's not Chitrasen, is the son of Chitrasen. Maybe, that's where later copiers basically, Chatra, it's very difficult, very easy to make a mistake when you're copying. And these are the texts, right? This is another myth we should tell the people, that the paper doesn't last. The material on which it was written, the Bel Patra and all those, they don't last more than 1,000 years. We are a little unlucky with our climate, because we have huge rainfall 6 months a year, very humid climate, and that is what has blessed India with 1 billion people, because we are able to feed so many people because of the rains which come in. But they are also very, very destructive on the knowledge, Saraswati itself, right? And so every time they have to be copied and everything, so the errors come in. So we see Chitrasen again several times on this day, but Chitrasen is already dead. The most likely it's the son of Chitrasen, and so again, so the point is Arjun kills 10 sons of Gandhari, tells 10 brothers of Duryodhan today. So again, maybe not the sons of, again, the oath may be about sons of Gandhari and Dhritarashtra's other wives, as we see when in the beginning, when Sanjay comes and tells him, Karna has fallen, and Dhritarashtra faints, and his wives come and help him get up. So those are there. Samhata and others, the names are given in Dakshinatya, the names. So here at this point in time, Bhim attracts 10 more and he kills them. And then he goes to Arjun and says, now you take care of Karna. So he has set the narrative here. He's sort of taken away. In the morning, Karna is attacked. He's killing a lot of soldiers. He's killing a lot of captains. Duryodhan's son just died. And Bhim takes the initiative away. Yudhishthira had been defeated and he was not on the battlefield. So Bhim comes in, takes the initiative away. And then he basically, and when Yudhishthira is not away, who's in command? Bhim. So there's another very interesting point here is that Bhim may have taken the oath to drink the blood, but Yudhishthira may not have allowed it. But Yudhishthira is not there. Bhim is in command here. So Bhim takes the initiative and he says to Arjun, now you go and kill Karna. So here, this part is very clear, but there's no other section after that. He doesn't go to fetch his wife and bring her to in middle of all this slaughter and everything, and basically, tie her hair or something like that. There's no such description there. There's no such description later on, or taking out the intestine and tying. Now, these are part of it. Bhim is also, in Shaivite Purans, he's an avatar of Shiva. And wife of Shiva is Kali. And because of the other folk legends and everything, we have this Kali wears the intestines of the enemies and everything. So here, this folk stories basically around Shiva and Kali gets translated or basically put upon their earthly compatriots here. Bhim and Draupadi. And from Brahma Puran, we know that Draupadi is the joint avatar of Parvati, Shyamla, Ushas, Shashi, and Bharati, the wife of Vayu and Vayu, Yam, the Ashwinis, and Indra, right? So here, basically, what other folk legends are about other goddesses and other stuff gets sort of translated. And again, it is, even in those cases, this is just exaggerations, basically, to show that when they kill the beastly enemies, like asuras and all that, they're trying to the poets are actually trying to indo beastly qualities to the asuras, and they are not really actually would have done that, taken out intestines and everything. It's like it looks very gory and everything, and definitely did not happen. Now later on, when Gandhari is there, and Gandhari is told in graphic detail by Sanjay and others in retelling, Dushasan was killed and he was, so she basically confronts Bhim about it, and Bhim basically very, very simply, very nicely says that he was my brother, and so I had taken the oath when he had hurt Draupadi in the Sabha, and so basically the blood did not go beyond his teeth. He basically put it on. And again, this is the point. This is where you are looking at Bhim, the strategic warrior. He's looking at the solution. He's looking at the situation, and he utilizes it to maximum advantage. He had actually fought Dushasan several times before. He had come close to it. But he utilizes it when the most important he can, use the death of Dushasan. He knows that event, he has already played it in his mind for 14 years. I'm going to meet him. I'm going to beat him up, I'm going to kill him, and I'm going to put his blood on my mouth. Now, how I can make it as a maximum impact, and that's what he does. After that, when Arjun goes to fight, he kills Vishsen now and Karna after that. They basically are all like in a sort of an awe. They are all in shock, that they have seen something so different from the normal Kshatriya dharma, Kshatriya warfare. And so that basically also plays into this aspect, and how where the death of the Shasan is set also. So and again, no braiding of the hair and everything. He might be good at braiding, he might be good at other stuff. We know that. So we don't know that much. So again, that actually never happened where the Draupadi was there. And as such, as the first thing they said, that why would Draupadi actually have an oath about her hair or wearing a same sari? That actually, as you know, Vijay Krishna have already told in several other places, that it started with Veni Samhar. It basically was a play around 7th century where basically this story was brought in by a poet, as a colorful uh, extension to the original epic, and they're not part of the original epic as such. So yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
Yeah, just to take a look at what the text says, we are quoting from the critical edition. So we can see that he actually did it to terrify the Kauravas. So it gives a graphic description of how he tore apart the breast of the one who had fallen down on the ground and drank the warm blood. That's what the narration says. And then, as it's underlined there, it says, whoever saw Bhimasena in that state then fell down in distress and fear. So it was basically an act to terrify the enemy. But then, as was pointed out by Pranshu, Gandhari questions him. So he says very clearly, his blood did not pass beyond my teeth and my lips. So it was just a mock act wherein my hands were smeared with his blood. And then he says another significant thing. He says, had I not accomplished my pledge, I would have been dislodged from the dharma of Kshatriyas. So he says, I had to kill him and I had to use it to terrify the enemy, but I did not drink the blood. So this
and
point is,
here he also describes the situation also there, that
yes, yes,
Nakul's horses were killed by Vrishsen and everything. The situation,
yes,
he's describing what the situation is happening and how he takes a psychological control back in his hands in a battlefield. One of the big important aspect where everybody can see everybody. See, modern warfare is all you are sitting inside, you are shooting at 800 yards, 400 yards or whatever, you
standing so
feet,
his
sorry.
missiles.
Yeah, but you don't see the enemy eye to eye. Here, in those days, they used to see each other eye to eye, and psychological attacks and everything was a big part of it. And so they had recent just suffered losses, as I said, there's one son, and then Knuckles' defeat. So he tells Gandhari that, he explains it, and he puts it in context also what he did. He basically, to cheer his brothers, to take the control back, psychological control back to his army, and also one army is terrified, the other army is enthused, right? And that's basically goes forward again into the battlefield.
Right. So now, as we saw, it was a myth. He only pretended to drink Dushasana's blood. As far as the tying of the hair and using the intestines, that is
No
not
mention.
mentioned in any version of the Mahabharata. It is just a popular folk tale, probably a myth, just to intensify the terror, or also probably to denigrate Draupadi that she was bloodthirsty and wanted the blood
And
to be
that's
tied.
that's
It could be that too.
and also the imagery again ties in, with blood and all that. Or
Yes.
it also basically, there is also the other part of it, like husband and wife together, and so
Yes.
all that imagery, it can have myriad sources, not only to denigrate Draupadi, even to maybe compare her to Kali. That's what I said.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the other places where all these intestines and other blood myths come across, right? Because Kali herself, basically her role was to drink that demon,
Blood.
Rakta Beach.
Yes.
So there was the demon Rakta Beach in the fight between the Durga and Mahishasur and the other demons, Chandamund. And so there was this demon Rakta Beach, and Rakta Beach had that Rakta and Beach. So every drop of his blood basically falls on the ground, another Rakta Beach springs up.
Not
So it's not it's like a unending variety. It's the same as the Greek legend of when Hercules is trying to kill the Leonine Hydra. He keeps on cutting the heads, a new head grows back, and same thing. So basically, this is basically our part of it, where the Rakt Beach is the extension of that part. And a very interesting part is that Rakt Beach is compared to the story where when the Duryodhan wanted to commit suicide, and then the Kritya comes in and takes him to the Asur Lok, and they tell him, Narkasur's Atma is entering Karn. Rakt Beach is enthroned, and Drona literally is like unkillable, and he basically is the enemy there. And even furthermore, I'm from UP, so we there's this whole series of legends about Ala Udal, and they come in Bhavishya Puran as the Ala is the Dharmansh, Yudhishthir, and Udal is Krishnansh or Barbari. It changes according to the portion where in Awadh you go, it's Barbaric, and other places you go. So these are folk, obviously. Let's very 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 clear. These are folk legends. And here also, Drona is basically compared to Raktbij, and literally Kali defeats him. So the legends about Barbaric is, when Barbaric is asked who is the one who defeats, who did kills everybody. So there's this folk legend slash, I think it may have be, I don't know if it's in a version of Skand also, that after the war, Dhishdyumna is saying who killed most. Dhishdyumna is saying I probably killed most. And again, you see, this is a very interesting point here. Dhishdyumna is not, Sanjay is not the focusing on Dhishdyumna that much. We don't get, like, Dhishdyumna does kill quite a bit of warriors, but here all of a sudden he's confidently asserting I killed a lot of them. And Bhim says, "Oh, I killed a lot of them." And Arjun says, "I killed a lot of them." So they ask the head of Barbaric, who has viewed everything, and he says, "Oh, I saw only Sudarshan Chakra going in the daytime, and dropped the Kali, wandering around the." So again, this is more of the Kali imagery. It's the goddess imagery which basically comes into the picture, and goddess is worshipped in those days with ram, the sacrifice of rams and everything. So you get it from the even Rig Veda and Shatpat Brahmana. A lot of the sacrifices used to involve blood sacrifice. So literally Dushasan and later on Duryodhana are the blood sacrifice, because here, even in the critical edition, Yudhishthir, Bhim goes to Arjun and says, "I have killed Dushasan. The other Yagya Pashu Duryodhana I will kill. You go ahead and kill Karn." So again, the imagery of this is a dharma yudh. It is a sacrifice to the gods itself. It is a sacrifice to dharma itself, and so the whole imagery of killing him as an animal comes into picture here. So, and that image, and again, that is not translated very well in serials and other things. They try to just rush in. They don't try to show the dharmic aspect of it, the translated upari charir aspect of the epic here, when they are actually meaning it. And so that's how all these myths and misconceptions arise.
At this point, we also need to take a look at the bow of Bhima. What exactly did he say, and how did it lead to this conclusion? So I would request Vijay Krishna to take it forward.
Thank you, Deepak ji. So good afternoon, everyone. So here, I think we need to go in for a bit of flashback to understand why or how Bhima behaved in the battlefield. So his oath in the Dyuta Sabha, after Devi Draupadi is defamed and disrobed, is in two parts. One is quite later, where Duryodhana pats his thigh and he takes an oath to break that insolent thigh of Duryodhana because of his actions. The first oath is after Devi Draupadi has been disrobed. At that very ferocity of the act by Dushasana, Bhima is enraged, and he just proclaims to all the Kshatriyas of the world. It's not a singular oath that he takes out of a fit of self-pride or something. He addresses everybody present in the Sabha. By that, he makes everybody responsible for the act that has been committed on Devi Draupadi. So he says, let all the Kshatriyas of the world listen. I'm going to say something that nobody has said before and nobody will say in future as well. So he says, do this. I'll remember the act done by this evil-minded Dushasana, and who is a kind of a black mark on the Bharata Vamsha. So in war, as and when it happens, I will tear the chest of the sinner and I will drink his blood. No, but just by taking this word as is, if we conclude that we drank his blood, then we are making a logical mistake. We are going by half knowledge. He does make this oath. Now first understand the situation in which he makes this oath. He's angered to no end. All the 5 Pandava brothers have been wagered. Draupadi is wagered. They've lost everything, and all in an unfair manner. The entire episode of the Dyuta Sabha is unfairness at its heights. So it is in such a situation that is moved beyond the limit of human emotions to make such an oath. And yes, he does ponder over it through the period of exile, and every time he sees Draupadi in a sad state or in a fit of anger, he is reminded of this oath continuously. It doesn't leave him. There are also instances in the Vanaparva where he says that your hair is as long, your black hair reminds me of the day when you were defamed. So it's an imagery, a cruel imagery of what Dushasana has done that never leaves him. So he uses that to effect, as Pranshuji explained. He doesn't commit it. Had he just to do it in a brutal fashion, he could have done it from day 1 to day 17. There were 17 days. Any day he could have picked up Dushasana and completed his oath. So it is not just an outpouring of brutality that he had multiple occasions to accomplish if it had been just brutality. He realizes the depth of his oath. One, he realizes that he has made the oath in a Sabha of Kshatriyas, so it must be respected. However, he is also prudent enough to see how it must be done. So he uses it to maximum effect on day 17 when the stakes are probably changing in favor of the Kauravas. So he uses it to terrorize the Kaurava army. Now, coming to the second part, when he talks to Devi Gandhari in the Stree Parva, so she clearly asks him very pointed questions here. Now, Stree Parva is often viewed, there are subsections within the Stree Parva, and there is also a Parva called Stree Vilapa Parva. So, but must not be taken as a normal wailing of the women and outpouring of sorrow. There is a very pointed conversation between Devi Gandhari and each of the Pandavas. And Devi Gandhari, as you know, is a very powerful woman. She's no aggrieved mother who must be consoled. She is still queen and queen mother. So, she asks him very pointed questions. Why did you kill Duryodhana? Is it not the way of those who fight with the mace to not hit below the waist? Bhima gives her very clear answers as to why he was forced to do what he was forced to do. One, because of the actions of Duryodhana and all the other Kauravas, the repeated adharmas that they committed against the Pandavas, during which, very importantly, there was a very dark miasma of silence. Nobody protested against the evil committed by Duryodhana and his brothers. Bhima repeatedly points that out to Devi Gandhari and tells her that he was left with no choice. Now, coming to the exact conversation on Dushasana. So, and Devi Gandhari, you must note, is also satisfied by the explanations Bhima gives, and she forgives kind of Bhima's acts because she understands, yes, it is her sons who were at fault, and which is why the events have transpired as they have transpired. Now, coming to the exact conversation on Dushasana, Bhima clearly says, Mata, you should not doubt that I have committed a sin. Yes, I had vowed in the, during the game of dice that I would drink the blood of Dushasana. However, in the battlefield, after Karna killed Nakula's horses, to seize the initiative, I tore apart his chest, but it is only my hands that were stained with his blood. It did not pass my lips and mouth. And he also calls upon a very important witness. He says Vaivasvata is witness to this. Who is Vaivasvata? Yama. Yama is Vaivasvata. Yama is the Lord of Death who is the first witness to when somebody perishes and the soul passes. So, if he's calling upon such an important witness, number one. Second, he cannot just plainly brush off or lie before Devi Gandhari. There is already an instance that has happened by the time we are seeing this conversation in the Mahabharata. Gandhari's anger has descended onto Yudhishthira's toe. His toe is turned blue. So, he knows whom he is addressing. He knows the situation. So, he cannot dare lie or, brush off in a flimsy manner or a flippant manner. So, there, by reading these two parts, the occurrence during the game of dice and the conversation with Devi Gandhari in the Stree Parva, we are able to reconcile the two halves and really understand what happened in the battlefield that Pranshuji has very well explained. So it is just a psychological tactic that he uses. Probably he smears his lips with the blood to kind of satisfy his oath, as also not to transgress the boundaries of Dharma. So I think the demands of Dharma are met in terms of the oath he had taken. So yes, the fact that he drank the blood like a bloodthirsty cannibal or smeared it on Devi Draupadi's untied hair, as I've said before, there is no oath that Devi Draupadi takes in the Sabha. She just cleverly argues, even in such a dire strait, she cleverly argues on the finer points of what evil has been done, and she manages to take back whatever has been lost by the Pandavas. It is testimony to such a great lady who is an empress of the whole country, that even in such a dire state where she's been defamed, literally raped or molested, she can stand up, face the Sabha who has committed this atrocity on her, argue out, and win back whatever the Pandavas have lost. So it is not. It is very easy to see the Mahabharata as a brutal war, that just took place because of somebody's want for revenge or somebody's pride. No, it is not that. It's a very deep lesson in dharma and how dharma must be followed even in the direst of straits. I think that is what the message that should go out to people who believe in such myths. Oh, that's all. Thank you.
And put another thing is that Bhima's oath is like there's this undercurrent in Mahabharata about the great oaths everybody has taken. Bhishma's oath that I will not marry anything. It's totally unprecedented, and he basically keeps it. The same thing for Arjun taking that oath. I will, at the end of the day, if I don't kill him, I will sacrifice myself. And the Sankshaptaks take the oath, right? A huge number of warriors take the. We will not actually. We are basically doing the first suicide warriors, literally. They've taken the oath that they will kill Arjun or they will die. And so Bhim's oath is around the same lines, and this actually continues in other aspects also. In Shanti Parv and Anushasana Parv, we meet this gentleman who takes an oath to worship somebody who has not been worshipped. So he worships the Megh, the cloud god, right? So, and this is a very interesting part. You will think, Shiva has been worshipped. Everybody would have been worshipped. They are gods. So he identifies somebody who had not been worshipped. So this is a part of the whole undercurrent, and that's why I said Mahabharata is it's a very big mine of information and dharma literally, and it basically has a series of these connecting points. That this baseline, right? Which follows. This is about not only like normal life of these people and how it happens, but how they raise their own lives to a higher level, to a dharmic level, literally. So that we thousands of years ago are still studying this book and reading about it, and that basically comes from this the brilliant story devised written down by Ved Vyas, and then with the Vaishampayan's edition, which we basically follow. So again, this oath is one of basically the same idea. And another point actually, Vijay Krishnan mentioned is Draupadi basically kept her cool there in the battle in the Sabha itself, right? And that is the other part of it, is that and Bhim says, it's always been on my mind how to use it. And he uses it as a psychological point at that point in time to wrest back the initiative, right? And the same issue happens is that they are very much in control of their emotions, even when they are hurt or something like that. An average human being basically will actually resort to some anger or something, which Bhim does, and then he converts it. He basically uses it and then maximizes it. So basically, this is the point where they are always in a lot of control of themselves, even when Jayadratha attacks, right? When Jayadratha tries to get Draupadi, actually puts him down on the ground. If you read the epic, she just puts him down on the ground. She is powerful enough, but she also realizes, her maids are there, her Dhamme is there, other denizens of the ashram are there, and they will be hurt by these brutal Kshatriyas. So she then climbs onto the chariot. The same basically that keeping the control of themselves. Even in Kichak's case, she throws him down, and she basically realizes, I can kill him right there and then. But then I have to show the people like he is the evil guy, and that's what. And he basically, and then he runs towards the Sabha, and he kicks her, and then that's where basically he seals his own fate. There's no somebody who is like bloodthirsty or something. She's going exactly by the dharma, and that basically comes into it. She would never have agreed to, even if Bhim had taken that. I would clean your hair with Dushasan's blood. She would have stopped him right there and then.
Exactly. And one more point, and as I said, it's not the question of just the war and after the fight begins. Even in the Dvaitavana, when the Ghoshayatra Parva happens and Duryodhana, it's his entire retinue that is captured by the Gandharvas. So even then he has a confrontation sort of with Dushasana. It is in fact Bhima and Arjuna who go to rescue them. on the orders of Dharmaraja. They could have easily broken the bounds. I mean, if it was just a visual that played as a nightmare in his mind, the moment he saw Dushasana and Duryodhana bound, he could have just struck a deal with the Gandharvas and finished them off there. But his restraint shows, even then and there, his restraint shows.
And so, that's the other point of it is Yudhishthir has given him a command. Now here actually he goes after Dushasan is when he is in command. Yudhishthir is, so there is also all this, Draupadi doesn't go to Arjun about Kichak. She goes to Bhim. So the Bhim basically has that relationship also with Yudhishthir, and he knows where he can actually Arjun doesn't. And there's another very important point. Arjun is Nara, and Nara is totally under the, and he is put himself deliberately under the boundaries of dharma. And so Arjun always asks Yudhishthir for everything, as today morning also. Yesterday, Deepak was talking about, right? Even when he abducts Sodara, he actually asks, I'm going to do this, and I need your permission, or, I need your permission. Should I go ahead and do this? Bhim actually shows the other part of it, and that's the Vayu against Indra. Indra is the brain. Vayu is Prana Vayu, our breath, our everything coming inside. And so this is the aspect where the brain is always under control, always calm, always in control, and follows the dharma. Prana Vayu, anger, can sometimes assert itself. I will drink your blood. Then he calms down, and then he uses it. So that's again the aspect of it that we have been told in Purans again and again. Draupadi is the body; they are the five senses. The five Pandavas are the five senses, and this is basically again comes in. He's breath, and one of them is the the mind. So this is again shown in this story itself. The Astikadi aspect, the Uparichari aspect, and the dharmic aspect or Manvadi aspect.
So I think with that we have conclusively proved that Bhima did not drink Dushasana's blood. He only pretended to do so just to create terror during the battlefield. So with that we come to the end of this particular part. But we will be back with more myths in the forthcoming episodes. And those who are watching the show, I would request you to please let us know if you want some myth to be covered. Because like we said, we are covering 18 myths. That's just because 18 is a significant number. So while talking about these myths, we will also be talking about other myths like we have always been doing. So in case viewers would want some particular myth to be discussed, we request you to please let us know so that we can take up these myths for discussion in the future sessions. So we are also doing this session on Twitter Spaces. We had a session yesterday. We hope to do future sessions too. So we would request viewers to please watch us on YouTube and also listen to us on Twitter Spaces. So
and send us questions.
Yeah.
Send us questions. Yes, that's important.
Ask questions. Yeah, because there's nothing more engaging than answering questions because more discussions come up. So thank you, Vijay. Thank you, Pranshu.
Thank you,
Session today. So we'll be back again next week. So thank you and have a good day.